Africa ya Kati.
Africa Update with Lulu Kabu, 12 to 1 p.m. Central African Time.
It is 12:08 Central African Time, and we're coming to you live from Johannesburg in South Africa. The Progressive Zimbabweans Foundation has expressed concern regarding the current political developments in Zimbabwe. The PZF says these developments continue to threaten constitutional democracy, stability, and the well-being of ordinary citizens. For more on this, we are joined on the line by the Progressive Zimbabweans Foundation Publicity and Youth Leader, Tino McLean. Tino, good afternoon, and thank you for joining us on Africa Update.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Greetings to everyone.
Now, Tino, what are some of the concerns that you have?
Thank you so much again. Zimbabweans are facing extremely hardship at home with soaring inflation, unemployment, and lack of basic services. We don't have medication in our hospitals. We don't have good roads, potwater everywhere. We don't have clean water for our people. That's why you see many Zimbabwe are forced to seek opportunities in neighboring countries. And it's heartbreaking to see skilled professionals leaving the country. And it's a testament to that situation. People are desperate for a better life, and we acknowledge that struggle. For example, we see many Zimbabweans, they come to South Africa, and the way they come, most of them, they don't have passports. And it's not like they don't have to have a passport. Passport fees are expensive in Zimbabwe. Not everyone can afford to have one. That's why you see many of them, when they're coming, they come through Limpopo River without passport, risking their lives, getting killed, getting raped. So, I think us as Zimbabweans, it's time for us to unite and do something so that we can save our country.
Now, you've highlighted the fact that ZANU-PF are working on changing the constitution of Zimbabwe. Would this not help the country to stabilize?
The constitution in Zimbabwe, it won't help in Zimbabwe because they are doing it for personal gain and individual benefit. That's why you see in Zimbabwe current situation, there are some group of people who are benefiting, but the much we are suffering. So it's not a good thing for them to amend the constitution. So I think us as an organization or as Zimbabwean community, we stand firm against any attempt to amend the constitution because extending present term to 2030 undermines our democratic rights and steals our future. So what we want, we demand free and fair elections in 2028 as scheduled. And in failure to respect our constitution, us as Progressive Zimbabwe and Youth Leader, we're going to mobilize our communities and we'll meet in the streets and we'll lead from the front because people, they always say you guys, you march on TikTok, on Facebook, we'll lead from the front and we won't be silent, we won't be back down because our future is at stake. We want a better Zimbabwe for everyone.
Now, what do you make of the return of Nelson Chamisa? When we spoke to him earlier this week, he also noted concerns of the exodus of Zimbabweans into neighboring countries. Do you also share the same concerns?
I might be shared the difference because if you look at the President Chamisa, the time he resigned, Zimbabwe needs him the most, and he decided to resign now. Now we came back and it's towards elections. There are some people who start questioning him he is playing with people's mind or somehow he work with ZANU-PF because we were supposed to be there when we made the most, when we were supposed to go to SADC and tell them that our elections were rigged, but he chose to resign. And now we came, he said it's the same mistake because now we are towards elections. And when we vote, you understand, and they rig our election, what is it going to do? So what we need someone, or we need a movement for people who are really want a betterment for Zimbabwe, not someone who is benefiting from the current regime. So I think on our side as a Progressive Zimbabwe, we see him as someone who's trying to play people's minds, you understand, and benefit from current regime.
And what about his concerns of the exodus of Zimbabweans into neighboring countries?
Yeah, so he is concerned of Zimbabweans in neighboring countries right now. I think right now, I just want to say something very important, the way Zimbabwe lives in South Africa. There are some people who are saying South Africans are xenophobic. I think we are wrong on that one. Because this is in my sister, there are some Zimbabweans who are in South Africa and they are committing crime. They are robbing people. There are some people as well who are opening churches everywhere. So, I think what we need to do, especially as Zimbabweans who live in the diaspora, we need to respect South African, our hosts in their laws, so that we can live with harmony and peace. So, there are some things that we are doing here in foreign land, and we don't do them in Zim. So, before we blame South Africans, I think as Zimbabweans, we need to educate ourselves to order so that we can live with South Africa in a good way.
Now, very quickly, just in wrapping up, I have run out of time, but I have to ask this. What do you want the people of Zimbabwe to do to ensure that their voices are heard in Zimbabwe by the leaders of the country?
First thing, we need to unite, we lack unity among Zimbabweans. Because right now, if there are some people who are saying, let's do something for our country, but there are some people who are calling for division, especially Mutuaka. So, what we need to do right now, we need to work together as a nation so that we can build the Zimbabwe that we want. Right now, very soon, what we need to fight for, we need to fight for our constitution because it's our backbone. So let's unite as a Zimbabwe, we work together, and victory is certain.
Well, thank you so much, Tino, for joining us on Africa Update. And that was PZF Information, Publicity and Youth Leader Tino McLean. And to unpack the issues facing Zimbabwe, we are now joined on the line by Tendai Ruben Mbofana, a social justice advocate and writer. Tendai, good afternoon, and thank you for joining us on Africa Update.
Thank you so much, Lulu. Thank you for inviting me on your platform, and good afternoon to your viewers and listeners.
Thank you. Now, you heard the tail ender of what Tino McLean had to say, and I just want to start with that in terms of what are your thoughts on what he's calling for from Zimbabweans in the diaspora and what they need to do.
Yes, that was a very, very important contribution, observation by him. In any struggle against an oppressive establishment or an oppressive regime, you need the support of those that are outside that system, those who can speak freely without fear, especially those that are domiciled or resident in more democratic states like South Africa. We even saw that during the fight against colonialism. Even you guys in South Africa, you experienced that during your fight against apartheid. For the apartheid system or colonial system to be dismantled, it was mainly due to the mobilization efforts of your fellow countrymen, our fellow countrymen and women who were in the diaspora. They were the ones who were making our struggles be known internationally, such that without that international pressure, it's very unlikely that a people can expect genuine freedom to come anytime soon, especially when they are dealing with a repressive, brutal, heartless regime. So yes, I agree. Those that are in the diaspora, Zimbabweans, do not forget your country. Do not see yourselves not that you are out there. You are just there to make a living, to make sure that you fend for your families. Yes, that was the main reason that you went there. It was more of an economic issue. But you need to remember why that you were driven to such economic refuge. It was because of the politics that was going wrong in Zimbabwe. So in order for Zimbabwe, for those Zimbabweans in the diaspora to return home, if they really want to return home to a better Zimbabwe, to a more economically prosperous Zimbabwe, to a more democratic Zimbabwe, they need to fight at the outside, make the Zimbabwean issue be heard. Talk to governments, talk to foreign leaders, talk to them. Don't let the Zimbabwean issue be forgotten, so that they can exert pressure, especially SADC countries. They have disappointed us countless times, and I'm sure your previous speaker did allude to that fact. Elections in Zimbabwe have been rigged. State institutions have been captured. So for decades, but SADC has never raised a finger against Zimbabwe. Yes, in the 2023 elections, we did hear the SADC Election Observer Mission saying that the elections fell short of the principles and guidelines of democratic elections. But what did the heads of state do? Nothing. They totally ignored their own report, and treated everything as is okay. But we see the United States invading Venezuela, and suddenly SADC leaders are making a lot of noise about that. We see the genocide that is taking place in Palestine, in Gaza. The Africans are making a lot of noise about that. What about next door? Why are we not concerned about that?
Now, Tendai, speaking of next door, because we are running out of time, I need to find out from you your thoughts on the current political environment in Zimbabwe. And, is the country more stable now or more fragile than it was 5 years ago?
It's just as fragile as it was 5 years ago. There's not much of a difference. The major difference that we can see now is that the ruling party is more relaxed than it was 5 years ago, because there's no opposition in Zimbabwe. The opposition is effectively dead. So that's why you find the ruling party is now focused on amending the constitution to extend President Mnangagwa's term in office. They're busy fighting amongst themselves for who will succeed President Mnangagwa when he leaves office. When you find the ruling party now absorbed within its own internal fights, you can tell that it's not fearing any external pressure. There's no external pressure. So the country right now is in turmoil, just as it was 5 years ago. But it's what is more problematic is that there is no voice today that can stand up and hold the government to account.
Now, speaking of a voice that would hold a government to account, we spoke to Nelson Chamisa, and he now has created a new movement or a leadership in terms of what he wants to do in Zimbabwe. What are your thoughts on this movement that Nelson Chamisa has started?
Yes, it's always welcome to have a strong voice, on the political platform, as he chose to describe it as the dance floor. But what matters more is not whether we have someone on the dance floor or not. What matters is the dancing effect. So in the return of Chamisa, he's very popular. No one can deny that. But as your previous speaker already said, people have sort of, become frustrated. They've lost hope. A lot of sections of Zimbabweans don't even know whether to trust him anymore. If you're in the middle of a struggle, and one of your leaders decides to take a sabbatical from a struggle, then when he feels like it, he feels like, okay, now I'm ready to come back, and he comes back while you've been burning on your own all this time. It becomes a bit problematic for Zimbabweans to take him seriously. So you'll find that, it's good that he's back, but we are still, looking at it skeptically and say, why now? And what is going to be different? Has he learned anything from past mistakes? And when the kitchen becomes too hot, will he not bail out again? So we are a bit apprehensive about that. But it's good that he's back.
Tendai, we'll leave it there for today. Thank you for joining us on Africa Update. That was Tendai Ruben Mbofana, social justice advocate and writer, joining us on the line.
As 2025 draws to a close, we pause to honor the spirits that connect us. Let's get it started. The festive season reminds us of what truly